In today's video, it's the last few days of my cruise in Maine on American Eagle. I visit Boothbay Harbor during their Oyster Festival. I also visit the largest botanical garden in New England. And the final stop on my journey is the historic city of Bath, home to the Bath Iron Works. I tour the Maine Maritime Museum, and an unexpected weather situation throws a monkey wrench into everyone's plans for heading home. Here's American Eagle arriving in Boothbay Harbor towards the end of day 5 of our cruise. The weather had been really good up until this point, but now it had gotten overcast. From my drone, you can see a couple of deckhands up at the front of the ship waiting to tie lines up to a mooring ball in the harbor. All of us passengers would be staying aboard tonight, enjoying dinner and the evening's entertainment, and then heading ashore on excursions tomorrow. At sunrise the next morning, I put the drone up in the air again so you could see the ship's position in the harbor and enjoy this view of the sunrise. After breakfast, the ship's tender would go into action to ferry the passengers ashore for excursions. Let me show you around Boothbay Harbor a bit in this short montage of aerial video from my drone. The day we were in Boothbay Harbor just happened to be the day they were having their Oyster Festival downtown, so there was a lot going on. It was a good day to be a tourist in Boothbay Harbor. They have a lot of interesting shops, and it's a cute little town, a fun place for someone like me to spend a few hours exploring. They've spent a lot of money on making this marina area very tourist-friendly, and I was especially impressed with this huge footbridge they had built. It's about 600 feet long, and it creates a nice shortcut so that people can easily get from one side of the harbor to the other without having to take the long way around. A fun thing I like to do when I travel to new places is to try the local pizza. So I visited Pier 1 Pizza for lunch and enjoyed a couple of slices. And then I followed that up with an ice cream cone at the Down East Ice Cream Factory. After lunch, I took an excursion to the coastal Maine Botanical Gardens, the largest botanical garden in New England. What you may not know about me is that when I'm not traveling, I spend a lot of time outside working in my garden. So I absolutely love looking at beautiful gardens like this at the coastal Maine Botanical Gardens. It's a beautiful place on 295 acres, and they even have a mile of tidewater shoreline. After our day in Boothbay Harbor, our ship sailed all night, and on the morning of day number 7 of our cruise, we were in the city of Bath. I flew the drone to get some video of the sunrise and also to give you a look around at where we were. Right across the river from where we were docked, there was a cute little lighthouse. It was really handy to have the drone so I could fly over there and get a close-up look at it. Our ship was docked at a pier right next to the Maine Maritime Museum. Later in the day, I would take a tour of the museum, but this was still fairly early in the morning. I hadn't even had breakfast yet. I was just flying the drone to get a look around and see where we were and what was nearby. And from the drone, you could get a really great look at this clever thing they've built on the grounds of the Maritime Museum. It's basically the outline of a sailing ship using flagpoles where the ship's mast would be. And notice the shipyard in the background of that shot. That's the Bath Iron Works, a subsidiary of General Dynamics, one of the world's largest defense companies. They make a lot of destroyers, frigates, and cruisers for the U.S. Navy, and they've been making ships here at the Bath Iron Works since 1884. All of us passengers on American Eagle were given free admission to the Maine Maritime Museum, so I spent a couple of hours that afternoon walking through it and exploring all the exhibits. What can I say? I like boats. So a visit to a maritime museum is always fun for me. They had a lot of interesting things on display in the museum, much more than I have time to show you in this video. I especially enjoyed a little movie they showed that told the story of this area's history of shipbuilding. They also had some cool mechanical exhibits like this steam engine and this demonstration of how they would launch a ship into the river after building it. There was also a very cool woodworking shop where they would saw and plane the lumber they needed for making wooden sailing ships back in the day. And a metalworking shop, too. Lots of interesting things to see at the Maine Maritime Museum in Bath. And the building was certainly on a beautiful location on the shores of the Kennebec River. That afternoon, the winds really started to pick up, and this is when a monkey wrench got thrown into our plans for getting back to Portland, where our cruise had begun a week earlier. The winds here in Bath weren't too bad, but the forecast for the open ocean between here and Portland was for very strong winds, which would have been really unpleasant to sail through. So the ship's management made what I think was a great decision. Instead of sailing through a storm to get back to Portland, we just spent an extra night here in Bath. And then the next morning, they used the ACL buses to get all of us and our luggage back to Portland, where most of us would be heading to the airport and flying home. Well, that wraps up the story of my 8-day cruise on American Eagle along the beautiful coast of Maine. It was an absolutely gorgeous part of the country to visit, and I will definitely not forget all the beautiful scenery I saw during this cruise through Maine and all the fun things we did while we were here. If you're interested in booking a cruise with American Cruise Lines, I want to suggest that you use the services of my travel agent, Caitlin Gallagher. She's been fully certified by American Cruise Lines. She knows the right cabins to book on these new Eagle-class ships so that you not only have a great week aboard, but you also don't pay too much for your cruise. Visit Caitlin's website at www.ambrentravel.com. I'm putting links up on the screen to some of the other videos I've made about this cruise on American Eagle. Click on one of those thumbnails if you're up for watching another good travel video. I'm Jim Zem. Thanks for watching.